meeting to order. And first on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Actually,
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thanks for coming out tonight. The next agenda item is public comment. Now, tonight is a public hearing, so the public hearing is the next step down, point number 4. So if you're here to speak about the public hearing, hold on to that till point number 4 comes up. Otherwise, if you're here to speak about something else other than the public hearing, now's the time to make your public comments. Seeing no one, I'll move on to point number 3, approval of the Planning Commission meeting minutes for February 28th, 2022. Has everybody had a chance to read through them? Any changes? Any changes from you guys?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Okay, we're good there. Okay, as I stated before, point number 4 is the public hearing. Public hearing is for a conditional use permit request by McNeil Property Management LLC owner to allow for a private school in the General Business District B3 on a property located at 1650 Cambria Street Northeast, tax parcel 467-A-55, parcel ID 020103, and the property is designated as business commercial on the future land use map of the 2013 Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. So, if there's anyone here, actually, I'll turn to you, Benjamin, as normal, kick us off, just a little overview of the conditional use permit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As stated, the address of the property is 1650 Cambria. Sorry, that's a little hot. The property is about an acre. You can see it on the illustration here. It is within a triangle bounded by Cambria, Yellow Sulphur Drive, and Block Lane, sort of right at that intersection. The property directly to the west of that, if you look at where it says Cambria in the street, that piece is actually owned by the town. The property is occupied by a single-story commercial office building I think everyone's familiar with. You can see the associated parking with it. I'll let the applicant speak to any changes about the exterior building. Private schools require a conditional use permit in B3. That's basically why we're here tonight. The Hughes Center provides services to special education populations, and I'm sure they can explain all that much better than I could. But it's relatively small. It has about 28 students at maximum, and between 6 and 12 staff, respectively, as it grows. Transportation is provided by local school districts. They, as part of their transportation that they provide to students, there's traditional ones with the buses that we all kind of think of, but they also transport children to and from any other special education situation, typically. So,
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Okay. Well, at this point, I'm going to open the floor up to anyone wishing to speak. And if you would, approach the podium, state your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is Mark Howard. I reside at 233 West Main Street, Danville, Virginia. I am the CEO of the Hughes Center. I just wanted an opportunity to talk a little bit about our mission, our schools, and the services that we provide. The Hughes Center has been around for quite some time, providing special education services to those with disabilities. We serve children from the ages of 10 to adults up to age 22, depending on their disability category. Most of our students have autism or intellectual disabilities. Others have co-occurring mental health disorders. The school that we're proposing is for those kids that are going to have ASD, autism spectrum disorder, IDD, intellectual disabilities, emotional disturbance, and kids with sensory issues. We just recently, one of our successes was working with the Otterbots and creating a sensory room at the stadium in Danville. So we have a lot of experience in reaching out to our community partners and developing good collaborative relationships. The school that we're looking at would be a maximum of 28 students. It would be licensed through the Department of Education, who the Department of Education, as you know, have very stringent regulations governing any kind of private day school. So we would fall under the same types of rules and regulations that other schools would as well. So it is a licensed program through the Department of Education. Again, the total number of students would be a maximum of 28. What we're looking at from our pro forma for year one is about 8 students, moving up to 12, 14, and then 16 over the next few years. So we're looking at slow growth to make sure that we are serving the community here in Christiansburg and the surrounding communities. One of the reasons that we looked at Christiansburg is because we had identified from a market research perspective that we've got kids that are going on buses or vans or cars for an hour, hour and a half to get it to a specialized education program. And in order to meet that need of our communities, we wanted to make sure that we are providing another alternative so that the kids that have sensory issues, ASD, IDD, emotional disturbance, they have another alternative that's closer to their home. We have a history of working very collaboratively with our school districts. We have a school in South Boston, Virginia, and we have a school in Danville, Virginia. Again, the South Boston, which was opened a couple years ago, we looked at a slow opening. We started out with 7 kids. At this point, this is going into year 3. We're at 14 kids right now. So this is a slow progression. In terms of transportation, transportation is provided in conjunction with the home districts. The transportation modality is typically car, van, or a small school bus. So the larger school buses, that's not something that we would be offering. In terms of employees, we're talking a total of 8 employees to start with. We have 1 teacher, 2 aides per classroom. There are times that we'll have a 1-to-1 for a student that requires additional supports, so that would add another staff member. We do work collaboratively with the school districts in providing lunches. In my application, I identified that we're talking about traffic with about 75 vehicles in an entire day. That's actually staggered. So the employees, of course, would get to work between 7:30, 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then the students would begin to roll in around 8:30. Students then also leave school around 2:15, 2:30, depending on the school district schedule. We also operate with the calendar that is provided from the school district. And so snow days, other inclement weather issues, we would follow that same school calendar. And so if there's any unsafe roads, we want to make sure that the kids aren't traveling on those. So I would open it up to any questions that you may have about what our mission is or what we do as the Hughes Center.
Mr. Howard, while I have you up there, the property itself, can you talk a little bit about maybe plans to put up a fence or vegetation, or of course, you know, for concerns of the children, not that that's a very busy road, but it is close to the road there.
I appreciate the question. Yes, so we have identified that a fence with all of our schools, we have to have, as part of the Department of Education regulations, have an outside area. Because of this location, we would want to make sure that we have a fence that encloses a specific area that's designated for physical education. If you don't mind, Martin.
Yeah. So the fence would actually, I'm Mark Greenstep, by the way, Chief Academic Officer for Danville also. So the fence would come off this end, come up and through this section right here alone. So it would just be the north side of the building. We cut out these 3 parking lots here, come up to this blue line and come back around. So just a small section of it would be a couple picnic tables and a basketball goal located inside that fence.
And then the teachers, of course, would provide physical education instruction. One of the other pieces, I think that you brought up a really good point, is what about the students getting in and out of the building? So all of our buildings are locked buildings. So you have to, for the safety of our kids and the types of kids that we serve, we need to make sure that our facilities are actually locked. So we have mag locks on all of the doors. The gated area would not have access from outside of the building, if that makes sense. So there would not be an egress from the gated area. The only way that you would get into the gated area is if you were actually in that building. So that would prevent a gate being left open and a kid running off, those kinds of issues.
Okay. So I'll ask you to stick around. We're going to let the others talk, and I'm sure that we'll have additional questions.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Yeah, my name's David Van Hooser. I'm 1033 Pollard Road. I'm the property just right across from them on Block Lane. I take that back. I'm 530 Block Lane. The house right across the street. You know, the problem, I don't have no problem as far as bringing kids or whatnot in there. That's not a thing. I understand this concrete place is, you know, say they've got something with OSHA and whatnot, but the trucks that come in and out of there, the dust that flies around, the place where you're talking about fencing in for those children, they're going to be covered with dust daily. The pea gravel and dust is all the way up Block Lane to where it comes out on Cambria Street. You can follow the trail. And they send a truck up there every now and again from the town to spray a little water and brush it off to the side. And it's piled on the sides. It just, I mean, a study needs to be done if you're going to bring kids up there to breathe that stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak?
My name's Chuck King. I live at 1795 Cambridge Street. And I'm just concerned about the traffic. 75 more vehicles on that little bitty road. I drove a truck in there for several years. It gets pretty tight and congested. 75 more vehicles on there, that's going to be a challenge. And don't know what you do about it. That's all I have to say about it. So, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I should mention that there's a lot of tractor trailers come in now and they stop on the side and concrete trucks, they back there blowing the horns trying to get into the plant and get the stuff. They'll come out of the plant, but the things are rolling and stuff just coming out of the truck that's just going down the road.
Gotcha. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing no one, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up to the Planning Commission for discussion. So, I'm sure you have some questions. Well, I have a question for you, Benjamin. Has the town looked into that road and the concerns of the trucks and the dust that's going to be blowing around, and with the children breathing it? You know, is that, I know it's not necessarily the town's issue, but the road itself could be. And is there any studies or anything that we should be doing to look at this further?
I know the town has invested in some improvements. Actually, might be, there have been improvements on Yellow Sulphur Springs Road to the north of this site. The dust issue is new to me. I'm new to the town. I apologize, but we can certainly look into that. That shouldn't be happening. In terms of the traffic volume on Cambria itself, VDOT lists about 7,300 cars a day, or vehicles a day, on Cambria. Of that traffic, approximately 4% is truck traffic. Most of the traffic is cars that's sort of going from the Cambria area up to the North Franklin area. There may be operational things that the applicant would want to look at, such as moving the play area to a different location. And you may even want to look at, the movement of traffic or drop-offs and stuff like that through the facility, which I'm sure you've already thought about, probably. I would guess that you intend to go in one side and out the other, I guess. 75 cars a day would be, or trips a day would be about 10% of the total volume on the road and stuff.
So Benjamin, thinking about the traffic then and how it's kind of positioned there, is there, and I don't know if it's something different because it's a day school, if there needs to be any type of like school zoning to where they would slow traffic down. I also don't know what the speed limit is right there either.
In terms of the school zoning, or school, like the signs, you mean?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, we could certainly
Do you
look
guys
into
know
that,
at your
but-
other schools?
Yeah, do you want
We
to?
do not have school zoning at any of our schools because
Okay.
it's not enough traffic according to
Yeah.
South Boston or Pennsylvania County Dam.
I got you.
We're in Pennsylvania County in the Denver area, and we do not have it identified as school traffic. Just because
Yeah.
we have way more kids at both of those facilities. So, at any given time, we might have 1 to 3 vehicles at a time on campus. So, because they stagger throughout a 45-minute period of getting there. So it hasn't been an issue. And we're not opposed to anything safety-wise, of course, but it's just a matter of we just don't have it. Haven't been required to have that. We don't meet the volume that schools would have.
Yeah,
Just
that
elementary school.
that would probably be my take on it as well. Just, in a normal traditional school, you would have more students walking as well, more parent-teacher traffic. The students would be transported to the facility. Yeah, that's what I thought is the speed limit is 35. Yeah. Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah.
So is Block Lane not paved, right? Or is it
I
paved?
believe it is paved. Yes.
It is paved,
Yeah.
okay.
And it's 25 there. as you can
All
see.
right, gotcha.
My guess is when you all talked about the dust, it's coming from the trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Concrete truck coming out of the plant.
Yeah.
And those plants, I mean, I worked on a cement plant for years. They should have dust suppression systems, a water truck just going around. I would definitely look into that just to see if,
We will. Yes, sir. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
So on the other side of that stop sign, that's gravel, is it?
You see
That's
where
their
that-
parking
that's
lot.
coming up that
That's a
thing
parking
down?
lot, okay.
I don't know what it does, but in the morning time, that thing, there's dust coming up out of that thing like you wouldn't believe. I guess where they making that block out there. But, and of course, when they load in trucks, like I said, they're trying to get out on the
Yeah.
job site, I guess, and it's still churning as it's rolling out, when they're coming around that turn there, right there.
Gotcha.
And that's the side that the
It's
playground
dust
would be on?
all the way out.
Yeah.
That is the side that we're looking at right there.
Yeah.
To put the
Okay.
fence right along that blacktop.
And some landscaping in that area might help a little bit with screening and dust and anything like that. Distraction, frankly.
And how do you get into that parking lot? Right there, okay.
There's another
Yeah.
side too.
Jude, if you could go back to the aerial, actually.
Around the backside.
There you go.
Okay,
So you can see there's an entrance right where it says block on Block Lane and just below the yellow on Yellow Sulphur Drive Road.
gotcha, okay. Okay. Any other comments, questions?
I think this would be a great opportunity for our area to have our kids not on buses for a long time. So that makes me feel good for cars or however they're getting to where they're going, because I know that our community does have some special needs kids, and
Right,
it'd be nice if they just had to go a few minutes down the road.
absolutely. What was in this building before?
It's been vacant for a little while. Yeah, actually, the property owner is here. Would you
Oh,
like to
okay.
speak to that?
Neil, I own the property. I had it rented for 5 years to a company called Family Preservation Services, and they went throughout the school system and helped with special needs children as well.
Okay,
They provided counseling and outpatient type services. And then I had my business in there. That building's been there since 1988. So I'm still alive. The concrete plant's been there the whole time. I spent 22, 23 years in that building.
so it's, in your opinion, it's a good fit for the group?
I think so, and I agree with her. We're busing these kids all the way to Roanoke.
Yeah.
Day in and day out, and it's nice to have a service like theirs in Christiansburg.
Keep anybody off of 81, that's good.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, any other things? Benjamin, are we missing anything here that we're not considering? Do we need to be more specific about vegetation, or is just,
I would
up to the
suggest,
applicant.
Mr. Chairman, if you do decide to recommend approval of the request, I might offer 2 conditions. One would be that there shall be a maximum of 28 students or some other agreed-upon number. And the second, that the school shall be a day school only. No students should be housed in a residential setting on the property. Effectively, what those 2 conditions would do would be to lock it into the concept that you're talking about and considering today. You could ask about landscaping as well if you wanted to ask the applicant. I believe we discussed some landscaping that they were thinking about doing. I'm sorry, Mr. Clark.
I'm sorry, what were the hours of operation again, if you don't?
So the teaching staff would get there between 7 and 7:30,
Right.
and leave between 4 and 4:30. And then the students would ride between 8 and 8:45, depending on where they're coming from, and then leave between 2:15, 2:30, 2:40.
Okay,
It's gonna be a staggered approach.
okay.
And they've stated they're adding some trees to it, so, along with the fence.
Much as we contracted out through Montgomery County Schools, we'll be picking them up, bringing them from Christiansburg High School, which is the closest school. That's consistent with what we're doing for the other 2 schools, is we just got them from the closest school and bus abandoned, I guess.
Right.
Yeah,
And correct me if I'm wrong, some of those things are federally mandated.
They are.
But,
Yeah.
it's a whole different license if we put a cafeteria in there.
right, yeah.
Mhm.
Very. Well, are we of the opinion that we have enough information to take a vote tonight?
May I add one more thing? We are hiring everyone local, so all the employees here, Maxine Casey's gonna be the director of education, she's local, and everybody will post the jobs here in the Christiansburg area. So although this is a Danville entity, everyone at this school will be a Christiansburg, Montgomery County entity, so I wanted to make sure we won't be driving up here with that, I promise.
I'm not sure that we need to put a number on the number of students, because that's a fairly good-sized facility. And I think it would house more, and as they stated, it's gonna take a number of years anyhow to get to the 28.
You guys feel the same way?
The
I mean,
Department of Education
let's see.
would cap us at specific numbers based on the square footage of each classroom. So that's why we have chosen 28, is we are required to have 50 square feet per student
I see.
in each classroom. So we're capped, through the Department of Education regulations.
Okay.
But I like your thinking.
That's where I was headed with that. I was like, they probably can know the number because that's as much as that they can get in there.
Right. So no need to put that
Yeah.
contingency on there. And the day school,
It's up to the commission.
might be a good
I
thing.
mean, the times where the students will be at the school is pretty consistent with what all the other students in the area is gonna
Yep.
be in, so I don't see a need to add that unless somebody objects.
Okay.
I think the only thing that makes sense is making sure that it's a day school and that there's no one residented there, because say these tenants move, the conditional use permit doesn't remain with them, it remains with the property owner. So we don't want to put ourselves in a pickle where they leave and another group comes in and is like, now we're going to house children here overnight.
So, the residential treatment services, psychiatric residential treatment programs are actually licensed through the Department of Behavioral Health Developmental Services. And so this particular building does not meet any of the codes required for BDHDS in terms of residential services. There's no way that you can turn, it's just not possible to turn that into a residential treatment, psychiatric residential treatment facility because of the structure of the building, egresses, square footage. There are so many other regulations. It wouldn't be able to be turned into a residential facility.
But in terms of the zoning, respectfully, someone else may choose to demolish that building and build something else there.
Yeah.
And that was the reason, I think staff would recommend the day school condition,
Gotcha.
just so that in the future, someone else might not turn it into a residential facility.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, the same thing could happen for the 28 as well. So like, if it's limited to 28 students based off of the size of the building could be added on to.
But
Building
it's
could be
self-limiting
demolished.
because the number of parking spaces you're going to need to have to meet town zoning and the size of the lot and the setback. So I don't think it.
To some extent, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
don't
know,
think it's a problem to
I'm
make that a
comfortable.
condition, though.
I'm comfortable without that condition if you all are. That's fine. I just tend to be fairly conservative.
And not to beat a dead horse, but if you guys were to put some vegetation or trees or some blockage, what are you looking at? Or do you have any ideas at this point?
We have not identified specifically what we're looking at. We are certainly open to doing it with permission from the owner. We have to allow us. But certainly around the fence line where the outdoor area and then over in that larger green area.
Okay.
Where the actual sign is.
We would work with Christiansburg, Mr. Tripp, whatever trees fit this area perfectly or anything that, I'm not a Creighton Hill fan, but outside of those, we would be.
Yeah. Same.
Is there single entrance? The main entrance is it's the only
So
way?
there's actually two entrances, if you don't mind if I go up.
Sure.
So, this is the main entrance here. This is where students would be dropped off. Entrance here. That door is locked with mag locks. And then there is another entrance here to get to a conference room, which is right here, conference room / library, where IEP meetings and meetings with parents would be held. There's another door that would go out here to the outside area where that would be fenced in, and then there's another staff entrance here at the back.
Would there be any cases where there would be, after hours, extracurricular type thing that, that would go past the 2:30 time for the students?
Not extracurricular activities, but certainly IEP meetings may be at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Staff may be having meetings. One thing that we would want to consider down the road is additional counseling types of services in that building after hours. Other than that, but there's not like, they don't have football teams or anything like that.
Would there be any after hours parking there? After hours parking of any of the, after closing time, would there be any
The only one
vehicles
is when we
there?
purchase a vehicle or van, for our staff to take our kids out to the community and do activities. So this kind of things. It will be a day of that would be on our piece. But other than that.
Mr. Howard, how about traffic flow? I know at some of the schools they have with drop-off zones. They come in one way and they go out the other way.
So they would come here, out this way, and then back around.
Okay.
That's what we looked at originally, just because that seemed to be the easiest way. And again, we're not talking large buses, we're talking
Right.
vans, cars.
Yep.
and small buses.
Gotcha. Okay, commissioners. Looks like we're ready. Can I have a motion with the contingency of a day school?
Make a motion to approve the conditional use permit as a day school with,
May I offer help? I think perhaps your motion is to approve the request for the conditional use permit with the condition that the school shall be a day school only. No students shall be housed in a residential setting on the property.
yes,
That's your motion?
that's my motion.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Okay. Congratulations, guys. Important to know, there's another public hearing with town council. It's important for you to be there. And do we have that date?
Yeah, I was just looking for it. I'm sorry, I will get you that date. Let's see, it would be the Tuesday after the, yeah, the May 16th is Planning Commission's next
May
meeting.
24th.
So,
May
thank
24th?
you,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. And thanks for coming out tonight. We just have a few more other businesses to cover. And so I'll open it up to you, Benjamin. Other business?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just very briefly, I've spoken with some of you about doing maybe like a technology night here that we could get some computers and some staff. So perhaps we will look ahead to a time that we don't have any business to conduct and pick a meeting and see if we can get some of the technology email type issues that we're having cleaned up for you. We also are sending a couple of staff members to the Planning Commissioner training. How many of you have completed the Planning Commissioner training? Okay, so we still need 3, you guys, if you were interested.
I was supposed to go and then it got canceled because of COVID.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. So, so it used to be through tech. It's actually through VCU now, I believe. There are 2 times coming up that might be good opportunities. The 107th Planning Commissioner training is in person in Richmond, June 13th, and then again on August the 23rd. You got to go to one session and you like get take-home stuff, and then there's sort of
Lots
a
of books.
capstone session, right?
Okay.
Never
It-
had anybody fail.
Right. If you want to do it online, the next one, and this is the one that we have the 2 staff members attending, that is actually September 8th and then November 18th. So if you guys are interested in that or one of them, just
Yeah.
catch up with me afterwards and we'll chat about that. That is the town pays for that and everything.
Yeah,
of course.
I was
So-
going to mention that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Zoom one is like, but I would recommend going in person because I know when Jean Ann and I went, we were able to have some conversations with other commissioners from different jurisdictions, and it was really nice to kind of hear what they were doing. Our particular one also had folks from Blacksburg and the regional commission. So it was nice because it was like we were learning at a larger scale, like statewide, but also like had some connections with people here locally too. So
I totally concur.
Yes,
So do I.
Yep.
it's much better in person.
If you can do it.
it's also
Except
kind of
the
boring,
hotel
and so I
doesn't
can only
have a lot
imagine
of-
how boring it's going to be on Zoom for
Good.
Yes.
6 hours. It's gonna-
I can
And
tell you
that's
where
as-
to eat in Richmond.
That's as an
I used to live
MPA
there.
student. I was bored.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I had.
Okay. let's see. I don't think I really have anything other than we're still going to be looking to do the comprehensive plan, do some tweaks on it, and more to come. I'll probably be reaching out to several of you guys, and then the regional commission has agreed to help us also, so that's good. They've done that in the past for other towns, and they're experts, so that'll be very helpful. Let's see, is the carnival still going on?
Yes.
Okay,
Sunday's the last day.
Sunday's last day, so talk that up. Looks pretty entertaining.
Ribbon fries are good too, so. I had that Saturday, it was pretty good. And I'm not really a big potato person either, so.
Okay. Anything else? Our next meeting is,
Your next meeting, which will be canceled, is Monday, May the 16th.
okay,
After that, I believe there's a 3-meeting. Yeah, we don't currently have anything scheduled, so it may be to be determined.
okay. If there's nothing else, I'll adjourn the meeting.